Are there any other superheroes that you'd love to bring to the big screen?
I think Spider-Man could do with a bit of help. I think there's some fun stuff that could happen with Spider-Man. Always wanted to make a Superman film, and my Superman movie would be incredibly different to the Superman film that's out there. But
How so?
I'd do the more colourful Dick Donner. It's Superman. He's wearing his underwear outside his pants. You know what I mean. So I'd do more the Superman that I grew up on and loved.
Hey there, boys and girls, and welcome to a brand new video of mine today on this channel. And as you can tell by my backdrop, I've got my two favourite Supermen, Christopher Reeve and Henry Cavill. Celebrate those images, those masculine white dudes, because we're not going to see them anymore with the way Warner Brothers are going forward with their new stupid Ta-Nehisi Coates and Jar Jar Abrams Black Superman. It's going to be Clark Kent, but he's going to be Afro-American. It's not going to be Val Zod or Calvin Ellis. None of those guys. Nope. They're going to race swap Clark Kent and make him the brand new Superman going forward. But I'm not here to talk about that specific story today, but I'm just celebrating these guys behind me because I think they're awesome. I think Cavill deserves one more crack at the role, which is why I played that Matthew Vaughn clip at the beginning of this video, because Matthew Vaughn, he understands comic book films. He's made a few, and I binged watched a lot of his stuff today, like his interviews. The man's got a very good take on what makes a good comic book action movie, and like me, he doesn't like to see messaging and politics in entertainment. Get rid of that shit, you don't need it. So bounding into comics, now this story came up a few days ago and I wanted to talk about it anyway. It's about the emasculation of Superman in a story they retold last year, but the retelling of the story comes from a 1970s story where Batman and Superman are captured by Colonel Kozlov, and they're held captive, obviously, because in Superman's case, he's been depowered, hence why he couldn't break out easily. So DC Comics implies Superman was tortured. There are certain words I cannot read here because the algorithm of YouTube will pick this up and they'll flag my channel, which I don't want because I'm enjoying myself at the moment, and I like the fact I've got some brand new subscribers anyway, so thank you very much for coming on board, folks. In America, when bad things happen to people who are traditionally marginalized, there's this feeling of let's just move on. So the author or the screenplay writer for 12 Years a Slave, which was a very overrated film in my opinion and went on far too long than it had to, John Ridley, his decision to pen a story for DC Comics in which Superman is implied to have been tortured during one of his previous Silver Age adventures was made in order to provide commentary on his personal perception. Yeah, right. Okay, whatever. It's just it's not that at all. It's just him putting in the message, because today, in today's entertainment, whether it's animation, whether it's film or TV and comic books, you've got to insert the message because people apparently don't get their head banged over enough with a hammer about that very same thing.
We all got together and we made a decent film because we all wanted to make a decent film. There was no politics, there was no fear.
Let's go to the offense. So this is from Superman Red and Blue, Volume 1, which came out last year. And people actually at the time when this came out, very few people were speaking about it online, which just goes to show nobody cared. Nobody bought many copies. So that's kind of good. Good one. That's a good one actually for DC and their flagging comic book sales, because yeah, they always make these really strange claims that everything has been unprecedented. People have been buying our comics, when actually when you look at the shifting paradigm, everything seems to be going the opposite direction for DC where their comic sales are concerned. So we're going to go to the 1970s panel here, which is drawn by, I think, inked by Mike Esposito and drawn by Ross Andrew. Like, he's a fantastic artist back in the day. And look at all these great panels. Again, guys, get your comics from the 1970s to the early noughties. In fact, probably to the end of the 90s. They were still good then. So yeah, so basically Superman gets captured by Colonel Kozlov in Lubania. They're captured, and he and Batman, because they are the world's finest, they're plotting their way out. Don't forget, Superman has been depowered. So that's all really, really good. But then, of course, we get to the retelling of this. So Superman is captured here. He's obviously very sad about what's happened to him. And then, of course, we find out the reason why he's sad. Every day they would drag me into the interview room. Every day they would restrain me in a way that left me exposed and vulnerable. And every day for 8 months, they did things to me. They did things to me while I was forced to look at him. Him being Nikolai Kozlov, the douchebag of Lubania. Oh, God, wow. You know, so basically, Superman is basically being violated against his will, you know, without his consent. That is basically it. And it's fine to endorse that message in the medium of comic books. Is it any wonder people are turning to crowdfunding comic book projects now? Because nobody wants to buy this trash anymore, do they? Oh, God. Now, if we just go back here as well, DC Comics and Tom Taylor's idiocy on full display. Bisexual Superman strikes for climate justice. Now, this is a story from last year, but I thought I'd highlight this one too. So this is Jonathan Kent, not Superman, who is bisexual because, well, apparently we asked for it. Nobody asked for it. Wow. So look, he's striking for climate change. So obviously they're talking about these climate change protesters who like to glue themselves to everything and anything because they're a bunch of idiots. And a lot of them come from rich families too. So why can't they just do something better with their time and their money than gluing themselves to bridges or whatever? I don't know. Who cares? School strike for climate, blah, blah, blah. This dude has got superpowers already. He can go and he can sort out the polar ice caps that are melting. But nope, apparently he can't do that because he'd rather hang out with these people and his lover boy on the left-hand side because nobody cares for that character as well. Wow-wee. I mean, talk about making your masculine hero more feminine. And it's funny, isn't it? Because you get the female superheroes now in both DC and the Marvel films becoming more like dudes. They got the short hair, they got their side shaven off at some point. Even Captain Marvel in the Endgame film, she had short hair. Don't know what was going on with that look either. But again, nobody cares about her too. And you know what? I've got to go to Joe Shuster now as well. So Joe Shuster is one of the co-creators of Superman. I feel that all this take on Superman is such an insult to two Jewish immigrants, Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster, who gave us the very first comic book ever in the world. Action Comics #1, Superman, that image of him lifting the car above his head. Iconic image. And this is the way DC Comics and Warner Brothers are honoring their legacy by doing these things to Superman. It boggles my mind. So the reason why I think they've got credence to do this in the first place, because if you see this little entry here from Wikipedia, there was a remuneration deal between DC Comics and Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, where they gave them a lifelong pension of like 30 grand a year, which when you spread it over 12 months may or may not be enough, depending, because America is a pretty expensive country. But Joe Shuster rang up debts of $20,000 by the time he died. Now, as a caveat about DC Comics paying off the 20 grand debt on behalf of Joe Shuster, they made an agreement between Joe Shuster's heirs to not challenge DC Comics over the ownership of Superman. So to me, what it means is, yeah, DC, they own Superman, but also they literally own his ass as well. So I don't know. And of course, they've got this really strange take now on the actual Truth, Justice and the American Way, which they've renamed Truth, Justice and a Better Tomorrow. Now, as an Asian fan of action movies, when I hear a Better Tomorrow, I think of the John Woo films. A Better One and Tomorrow 2. If you've not seen them, they're great action movies, ultra violent, just very slick. Yeah, you get the flying dubs in there as well. And that's what I think about. But there's an interview of co-creator Jerry Siegel that has resurfaced as well, which I'm going to highlight for you right now, where he talks about that very motto. So here it is.
There was Nazism was rising up, and a lot of innocent people were being killed, and countries were being invaded. A lot of innocents slaughtered. And I felt that the world desperately needed a crusader, if only a fictional one.
And so what could you say that you felt that Superman stood for, or stands for?
Well, exactly the motto that they've used on the television show. truth, justice, and the American way. A very clean-cut guy who could rule the world and is all-powerful, but instead he uses his powers to aid the helpless and the deserving.
Yep, the late great Jerry Siegel there. And the man has a very good point. Yes, it's meant about truth, justice, and the American way. I've always heard that catchphrase growing up. Did I take offense to it? No, because to me it's like a superheroic motto. That's what it is. And as Siegel pointed out in that BBC4 documentary as well, he could have taken over the world, but he chose to help the allies, not just in his country, but other allies around the world too. And I love that. But now it's truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Who gives a crap? I know Tim Daly, who was the voice for Superman in the animated series, he's okay with that take. I know Dean Cain, who played Superman on TV in The Adventures of Lois and Clark, he's not keen on many takes where they've gone with Superman, especially making Jonathan Kent bisexual, like whatever. Look, whatever your sexuality, is good for you guys. Whatever you choose in life, it's all great. You be you, me be me. I'm a straight beta male. That's all I can describe myself as. I can't call myself alpha, that's for sure. So, wow, man, it's been torture going through that comic book panel. It really has been. And if you weren't aware, folks, I'm making you aware now. And yeah, Jim Lee, the president of DC Comics, he allows this to happen. He endorses it, it seems. Jim Lee, disappointing. This is a guy whose artwork I always championed. Unfortunately for me now, I've got a t-shirt of his coming my way. It's a black and white t-shirt of his Batman and Catwoman together. I've got that to do some reaction videos for when the new Robert Pattinson movie comes out. I do wonder where this agenda and political messaging of movies is going. How far they're going to take it to the limit? Because again, quoting the Eagles there, funny enough, because I wonder if in 10 years time those people who are championing, all the SJWs who are championing this kind of stupid narrative at the moment in Hollywood and entertainment as abroad, I wonder if they'll look back at this in 10 years time and realize how cringe it is. Because from my era of growing up, you can look back and you can say, oh my God, that was a terrible take, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, if you're going to weigh up both sides of the coin, I'm going to say that what's happening now in entertainment is actually way, way worse than what happened in my time. Thank God in my time, there were great things to watch on TV and films. Oh my God. You're not going to get anything like Excalibur again, are you? You're not going to get anything like Buck Rogers of the 25th century. And if they do decide to revisit them, of course, they're just going to water them down, make you forget. I mean, this whole thing as well, with what DC are doing to Henry Cavill, it seems like they're just holding the man hostage. I hope he gets one more crack at the whip with Superman, and I hope Matthew Vaughn is the man who might go in there and show Warner Brothers and everybody else how you should direct it, but I don't know. I mean, the whole thing with James Gunn possibly being part of DC in the future, I want him to bring back characters like Lobo to the big screen. Lobo is so un-PC, it's going to be great to wind up the SJWs and everybody else, but I really don't know, folks. So guys, if you enjoyed this video today, please give it a like. Please share it amongst your friends and your family and even your neighbors. And I will see you on my next video.
Then I'll ask the obvious question. How do we know you won't one day act against America's interests?
I grew up in Kansas, General. I'm about as American as it gets.
America! Fuck yeah! Like and subscribe, or get your nuts Krogan crushed with Jason King.